welcome. This reading is for you if it aligns with you. And this reading is asking you to consider your current situation and where you see it yourself being in the next 3 to 12 months. Where you see it being, what you see it being. This reading is going to address that and the steps or process in between, as well as what could potentially be blocking you currently in your specific energy alignment. So the way that my readings work is that I don't predict outcomes or the future. What my readings show me is what you have right now. So if you see one of my readings, you will always find where your power is in the situation and what you can do. And sometimes doing is also not doing. So one thing is that my readings are very much focused on the internal side of the experience, what we perceive or consider the internal side of the experience. And in a sense, our external experience is the internal experience. So if you get the internal experience right, the external experience is automatically that. We as humans are always trying to control the external experience, forgetting about this internal experience. Not forgetting, it's just that it is so close, it is so familiar. It's kind of like autopilot when we are just living by default. So my readings are going to be addressing conscious living, being aware of your feelings, the associated thoughts, the behavior, so your patterns, and then also how these change depending on either of these changing. Either of these variables shifting causes a shift everywhere else, because they're not separate, they're all one. Some of us are more aware of our emotional body, and some of us are more aware of our mental body. Some of us are acutely aware of both. Some of us are more aware of what behaviors we do. So all of us are unique and aware in different ways. The key is to take from these readings what aligns for you. And like I said, I don't predict outcomes because I believe that every outcome happens. The way that you align to the outcome is based on your energy. You can't bullshit the universe. You can't really bullshit yourself. You can kind of bullshit yourself, you can kind of bullshit other people, but you can't bullshit the universe. It is all energy. It is all energy. Okay, so let's get into it. I've already shuffled the cards, but I'm going to shuffle them again. Oh, here we go. We've got some... What I'm going to do with these cards is basically just be like, okay, cool. Let's just see what they are. Okay, nice. We've got destiny, we've got strength, power, and then we've got the seven of cups. So from these, I will say that, look, your destiny is whatever you know, feel it to be. And it can be whatever you want it to be. Don't feel like you need to find what it is, because it is already within you. And you already know. You know. Just trust yourself. You should trust yourself. There is power and strength in being balanced. And I'm not talking about external power, although it reflects that way. But I'm talking about your inner state being balanced. And choosing wisely. I mean, I know that we can be so fragmented in our emotions and in our mental body, in our thought activity, and what we experience in our body as feelings or emotions. Interestingly enough, these do all add up to a 7. And we've got a 7 here, we've got an 8 and a 10, 9 and a 7. It's almost like not doubting yourself and having some sort of a confidence maybe in what you know, rather than doubting. Is going to be your power and allow you to choose wisely. Okay, but anyway, this was just let me put these back in the deck, because what we are talking about here, although that is valuable and where what we're chatting about here, which is your current situation and where you see it or yourself being within the next 3 to 12 months. And whatever might be in the way for you, and then also the steps of the process on the way there. So obviously this is a general reading, so I'm going to be speaking generally here. I also read intuitively, so my cards are not by the book, and also every book has a different meaning. So I do know an overall meaning of the cards and also numerology and astrology, although I am very much an intuitive reader. The tarot I see as a tool to communicate. It is guidance and it's a language. It's a tool to interpret. It's a tool to guide, and the reading happens within, right? So I'm not going to take the card and take the book and tell you what the book says, although I can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to know the book meaning, then you can take a screenshot of the video and you can look up the meaning on Google, and it'll give you the exact book meaning, and you can look at a bunch of different things. Ultimately, the key here in you being the observer of this reading is to understand what is happening within yourself as you observe this reading, as you listen to the words that come, and you take what happens within you, and you will know. Don't try to force anything. Don't try to... The way that I use the cards as guidance for the words that come is in the same way you use the words that come and the cards and then everything that happens within yourself as guidance for your truth, okay? Because everyone's truth is different in some way, okay? Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, 9 minutes, 10 minutes later, this to the side for a second, and then I'm just gonna choose the cards. I think that actually we'll do it this way. The chickens next door have gone crazy because of a dog next door, and now my dog has gone crazy. Okay, so in this position we have the current situation. In this position we have where you would like to get to, and also potentially what could be in the way. Position 3, 4, and 5 is the process and any guidance on the way to here. And now I will draw 3 cards from this deck as well to give us a little bit extra, because why not, right? Okay, and then I did actually, took these out of the view, but I'll just shift them there, and then we'll have a look at the underlying energy here. The way I was holding the deck, it comes out as Judgment in reverse. Is that's in view there. And then on this deck we have Mental Conflict. This is also the 2 of Swords. Okay, so honestly what I want to say here is that I feel like your mental conflict is your own judgment. In a way, the judgment is that and the effects that has, but also that there is some sort of choice. You're at a split road, and you're also fragmented mentally. Maybe you don't know which way to go. Okay, so in the current situation, okay, we have discontentment and boredom. Okay, maybe that makes kind of sense with like not knowing which way to go and like being kind of bored. But also in a state of discontentment and boredom is when you can really like just have an opportunity to sit with your feelings and understand that. Listen to what it is trying to tell you rather than thinking too much, right? And having too many choices. And just sit with the feeling of discontentment and boredom and see what it's trying to tell you. Where is it wanting you to go? And let's see what this card tells us about that. Okay, a fucking big change. Excuse my language. Yeah, like a complete shift, a complete change on all levels, maybe. Yeah, maybe you are quite discontent with your entire situation and the direction that you feel your life might not be going in. This judgment in reverse almost feels like that. It's like you don't feel like it's going in the way, and you're conflicted mentally as well. So okay, let's see what disruption, or maybe you are going through something quite, not knowing which direction you want to go in is quite conflicting and feeling bored. So perhaps there's no, just not a knowing, a sense of being lost in some way. Okay, so we've got authority in reverse, which is the emperor in the traditional tarot, and we've got the three of swords in reverse. So maybe not wanting to do what you're told anymore. Really feeling like torn, like you want to follow your own heart, but you feel like you're having to do what other people want you to do, and it's quite boring so for you. So maybe and not just boring, but like in a way it's making you smaller. So you feel you're like you're not able to get a foundation in what you actually. So the other side of this is also actually taking back the power. Um, there is also a sense of um, not being stuck in what you're expected to do, and to actually take back your power. Okay, and creating that foundation. Okay, and we've got the solar plexus chakra, and we've got justice in reverse. Okay, so this makes a lot of sense, like with these cards as well. The solar plexus relates to your sense of self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, your confidence, and in a way, this being in reverse is telling me that it's out of balance. Okay, um, you need to look to potentially becoming a little bit more aware of your own self-worth, and like it's generally in this sort of area here. So a practice you can do is sit and and see what sort of sensations, you don't need to label them, you can just sort of feel them and just let them be, and you can, and just you can feel that just kind of shift. It'll dissolve in a way, potentially into something else or into a sense of neutrality. Okay, and then we have got solitude, number 9. So into the traditional tarot, that is the hermit. And the chariot in reverse to me is kind of saying that um, the hermit phase, the phase of being solitude, the phase of keeping to yourself, the phase of gaining some inner understanding, um, will be it's in reverse. So maybe not yeah, it's so the feeling, the first feeling was that that's the forward movement, actually, is the going within is the forward movement. So that actually makes a lot of sense with these as well. So the Three of Swords is definitely a mental sort of conflict, and we have the mental conflict here as well. Although this is the Two of Swords, so this is sort of like the next step from sort of like where you are now, right? This is in an emotional space where there's some discontentment and boredom in what you're currently doing. As this was addressing your current situation and then where you would like to be. So from where you are now, you want it to be completely different, and it's you want a complete change, and in order for that, it's going to require confidence, and which is also related to this. It's going to require tapping into your confidence that you actually already have within you. It's not anything that you're lacking or need to get to. You actually have it within you. And you have it if you can tap into your own sense of authority, become a little bit more authoritative around anything that you think and feel. So manage your emotions and your thoughts, because at the moment it seems like that's kind of out of whack, right? You're not taking any authority over that. It's like they are little children without parents running around doing whatever they want. And a lot of the time we know we need to step in and take the hand of our hearts and emotions and our minds and sort of guide consciously, because otherwise we're just doing it by default, and then we end up being where we are when we don't pay attention. If we don't know the road and we're just driving without paying attention, we will get lost. This mental conflict is also related that you feel what you thought or what you think is meant to happen isn't happening, and you need to let that go. You need to let that go. It is also worth noting that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major arcanas in this reading out of 1, 2, 3, 4 regular cards. Minor arcana, I should say. Although this isn't technically a minor arcana, it's an addition to this psychic tarot deck by John Holland. I actually really love this deck. The first time I came across it, I was actually house sitting, and it called out to me, and it completely, yeah. I mean, it's not this specific deck because I obviously don't have that deck, but I bought my own one. And the other star in this reading is our everyday tarot deck by Bridget Esselmont, and the illustration by Eleanor Grosh. Yeah, I actually didn't know who it was by. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I think I might draw a oracle card. It is the Power Animal Oracle cards by Stephen Farmer. Just do one of these for some extra things. So basically, it's like all about gaining some balance and authority over your own thoughts and feelings. It's paying attention, being aware, not going with the default pattern. Your default pattern potentially is within some self-worth and a lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, and it's out of balance. Okay, so pay attention to that area, and begin to go within. As I said here again, awareness, pay attention of what's happening within, because this is what is stopping the forward movement. But it is going to have to be a big change, and it seems like you want that because you are bored. It might not be pleasant, but go within. Go within and don't pay attention too much, or not pay attention too much to what's happening outside. You have to pay attention to what's happening outside as well, but don't attach meaning. So that's what's being with your feelings and being with your thoughts, but not going with them. So it's noticing the thoughts, noticing the feeling, noticing the behavior that you might want to take, or the default action or pattern. Just begin to notice and don't think too much. Feel more. Feel more, because ultimately from that sense of lack of self-worth, low self-esteem, that's a very specific feeling carried in your body, and it generates or automatically attaches to, be it potentially familiar, it just automatically attaches to the same quality of thoughts. So when you can just let that feeling be, without running or without suppressing or without trying to change it or anything like this, you can just let it be, and the thoughts will also automatically be different. Don't try to think too much, or try not to think too much. Feel a little bit more. Okay, thank you very much. I hope that was helpful.